What's up, everybody? We are here today with a new edition of the show. This is a different format that I'm going to be doing, which is basically a sales and marketing tool walkthrough with a focus on AI sales enablement. And I wanted to give you a little bit of context on how this idea for this series came about. So, not uncommonly, like a lot of other sales leaders out there, I receive probably somewhere in the tune of 10 to 50 emails from companies out there, either cold to my various email addresses that I have from my clients, and then also via LinkedIn from companies that say they can do one of two things. They're either some kind of AI sales enablement technology, they're a CRM, they're an outreach tool, they're a data supply source. A lot of outreach from companies and tool sets that sound somewhat similar. And then the other type of outreach that I get is from, I guess, appointment setting agencies, for a lack of a better way to categorize them. But they're basically people that are reaching out to me to say, hey, I would love to take over appointment setting for your sales organization, and basically asking me to hire them. So my problem as a sales leader, and quite frankly, I'm a smaller sales leader at smaller organizations. I could only imagine what chief revenue officers at large sales organizations that have big teams, big groups of SDRs and AEs reporting into them. I can only imagine what their inbox looks like. If mine is 10 to 20 to 50 a day, theirs is probably 100. And, I feel for us sales leaders, because I'm a big believer in AI. I'm a big believer in sales enablement, and I'm a big believer in this technology. But as a practitioner, I have no real good resource or good way of vetting these tools as they're kind of coming into me at lightning speed. If I spent all day taking demos and researching these tools, I would do nothing but that. So one way that I've kind of basically been able to, I guess, qualify or weed out a lot of this outreach is that when people reach out to me, I basically say, hey, look, I'm not going to buy your tool today. I'm not going to hire you as an appointment setting agency, but I do have a podcast with a significant group of sales leaders and salespeople who follow me to look for advice, best practices. So if you want to trade services, essentially give me a free trial to your service and walk me and my audience through best practices on how to use it. And then a few weeks later, we'll check in and we'll look at the results. I will review your tool, or I will review your service on my podcast, and I'll give you that exposure as a trade. As you could probably imagine, that sends 99.9 of those business development people running for the hills. They're either not strategic, or they're just looking for a quick win and a quick sale, and they don't have any way to elevate that opportunity. But Kevin Brooks, who is on the show today, actually is a savvy entrepreneur who comes from the sales enablement, and he's used a lot of these tools in previous roles, and he actually took me up on the challenge. So I had a call with Kevin. We vetted the opportunity, and Kevin Brooks is the founder of 10xBeast, which is an AI enablement software that helps sales organizations and marketers do AI-based outreach to their own contact base and get more appointments and generate more meetings. So I'm super excited that Kevin decided to take me up on the challenge. Other than the fact that Kevin is not charging me for the tool, there has been no other commerce exchange. They're not a sponsor of the show, but I am excited that Kevin is my guinea pig for this new series. So Kevin, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan, and thank you for that introduction. As you've said, I built 10x particularly because of the challenges that I saw and experienced, right? Leading teams of SDRs, BDRs who are doing all this outreach, and so much of it was manual, right? And clearly, when AI came in 2022, the opportunity was obvious, right? There was a lot of this that could be automated, but automated in a sustainable way, right? and that's why we built the product. It's an amazing product, and the goal of any product that anybody puts out should be not just to generate revenue, but also make work easier, right? So if you can scale your business without needing to hire an agency or hire 10 SDRs or sales reps to do that for you, right? Imagine the value that could bring to your company and your entire brand, right?
Yeah, totally. No, I mean you're definitely preaching to the choir. When all this AI sales stuff first started popping up on the scene, I consider myself a bit of a Luddite, but I eventually generally come around to new ideas, new concepts, new ways of doing business. I wouldn't consider myself an early adopter. I'm trying to change that, I suppose, to some degree by this show and getting exposure to other types of toolkits. But the big eye opener for me was with an AI outbound email platform that launched a virtual SDR. And basically the challenge I gave myself is I wrote a sales sequence myself, the best that I could accomplish inside of the tool. And then I basically went through the process of setting up the virtual SDR. And the virtual SDR got more emails out, got a higher reply rate, got a higher open rates, and then ultimately led to more bookings. So, that was kind of my moment. And I don't want to call it defeat, but it was the moment where I was like, you know what? John Burroughs, who's a sales trainer that I follow, he often says the quote that sales people will not be replaced by AI, but salespeople who don't embrace AI will be replaced by the ones that do. So that's kind of my take on it. And since then, I've been definitely an adopter. I leverage 3 or 4 platforms that I won't mention today because I want to give you the spotlight here. But the challenge that I mentioned on the beginning of the show is a real one. There's so much new technology popping up, so many things. I want to be early stage and I want to use the best tools. So that's ultimately why I wanted to hop in and have this conversation with you. So, Kevin, I think, probably a good place to start is, you've given us a little bit of background on why you launched the company and what your mission is. So if it's okay with you, I think I'll just go ahead and allow you to share the materials that you came up with for the audience today. Let's go through those materials. And then if it makes sense to do any kind of a walkthrough of the platform, we can do that today. And then, what I'm really looking for from you is capabilities, but also best practices. So kind of telling me, what are the best ways to use your tool and what are the expectations that I should have. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check back in with the audience in a few weeks after we get the campaign up and live and then see what the results look like. And I think, this is very much a show to not only give the insights on these tools, but more importantly, to show what they're capable of and do a check-in and show how things are going. So does that sound like a good game plan with you?
Sounds perfect.
All right, cool. I'm going to flip it over and allow you to take the wheel then.
Absolutely. So let me just go ahead and present this. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep. Yeah, it's it is in kind of like slide share mode, but I don't think that's going to kill me or the audience if you want to keep it that way.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. So once again, thank you for the introduction. And beyond just talking about myself and the product, I also just wanted to give a holistic view of how email marketing makes sense when combined with AI. So as Dylan mentioned, my name is Kevin. I have been in the email marketing space for 12 years. I actually started right at the very bottom. So if you can imagine, like before AI, we had to like go scrape leads online, and then you had to like copy email addresses and put them inside a spreadsheet before all this scraping softwares came in. And then I sent them. That was actually my first job as an intern. So I have quite a lot of experience in
Yeah,
email
no,
marketing.
and I think all salespeople start there too. You know, hunting and pecking for contacts, finding them wherever you can, and getting that outreach out. So yeah, been there as well.
Love it, love it. Yeah. So started from there. Scaled all the way to the top, to the point where I was like a sales leader in a really large organization. And that's when it hit me. That's when the opportunity came to me, and I realized, wait a minute, there's a way that we don't have to do everything manually anymore, right? So I'm going to go into that a little bit later, but let me just jump into email marketing as a whole in general. So why
Sure.
email, right? Email marketing, as you probably know, right, is extremely effective for promoting products, sharing news, etc. Right? It's super cheap. It's very easy to learn and very easy to do. So it's very, very accessible. Compared to other forms of marketing like advertising, the ROI is something like 10x, right? So it allows you for direct communication. As I mentioned, it's super cost effective, and you can measure results instantly, right? So when you send a campaign, you can see the response rate, open rate, click-through rate, etc., right? Customer engagement. So email marketing has several use cases. You don't just have to use it for cold outreach. You can also use it to warm up leads who are engaged with your business or product. And you can also use it to upsell existing customers, right? And then finally, it's the segmentation and personalization. So what that means is that with email marketing, you can cut through into a particular segment or a particular list of contacts and write messaging that resonates with them, right? So imagine you run a podcast like Dylan does, and you have several groups of audiences. You have your for example, people who work in sales, that's VPs of sales, etc., and CROs, and then you have entrepreneurs, right? So you could actually segment those two audiences and give them different messaging that resonates with them. So that makes it super powerful if you know how to use it and if you can leverage it in the best way possible. Okay, so let's now look at how Gen AI transformed email marketing. So by Gen AI, I mean everything generative. That's your GPT, your Gemini, Anthropic, etc. All these platforms that came in the last 2 years, and they transformed how marketing could be done, right? So the first major thing was personalization at scale, and I think Dylan, you mentioned that with one of the tools you were using was able to create like really personalized messages that had that higher response rate, that higher open rate, etc. Right?
Yep.
There's also enhanced segmentation. As I mentioned, you can target groups in more specific ways and sort of like deliver razor sharp messaging that resonates with a certain audience in a certain group. There's also the content creation optimization. I think all of us have used that. We've all probably used GPT to generate an email or write a text, whatever, that's essentially what that means. And then there's the analytics. And then there's the lead gen stuff, which is also really cool. And we're going to touch on that a bit later. I know that, Dylan, you mentioned that we didn't go to the direction of giving our customers leads. Actually, we actually do give you leads, but we do it in a smart way, right? Instead
that's
of
awesome. Yeah, I know, so many of these other platforms rely on databases that are already pre-existing, which is fine. They're good leads. But I'm always excited to see tools that have a way of generating net new leads based on, things like LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn as a backbone for like Chrome extensions because it's a self-updating database, right? If I change jobs, literally the first thing I'm going to do is update on my LinkedIn because I want that to be accurate. And I think most people, are of that mindset. So if you're using something like LinkedIn or other publicly available information on the web that's dynamic, you're not working off an old list, you're working off a dynamic list. So I love that.
Yeah, most definitely. As you mentioned, the data is much more up to date if it's coming directly from the web. And at the same time, it's cheaper, right? If it's cheaper for us, it's going to be cheaper for end user, right? And it's also more scalable, right? So let's go into the evolution of email marketing. So before AI, if you were into email marketing back then, there was a lot of A/B testing. And what that means is that you like write a sequence, write another sequence and then run those together and see which one performs better, right? And that was really the process that we used to find what works versus what doesn't work, right? So open rates sucked, and subscribe rates were pretty high. And because of that, most of our emails ended up in spam, right? And if you open your spam folder, I guarantee you have some decent emails from some legit companies or businesses who were trying to communicate with you, but they ended up in spam, right?
Yeah. That's, I mean, at this point, I get enough email in my main inbox that the spam folder just is pretty much, auto delete. I don't even give it a chance, unless I recognize somebody's name, which is like once a year, maybe I'm like, oh, that went to spam by accident. But most of the time, anything that goes to spam never even gets looked at.
Yeah. And that's the case. And at the same time, it was also very resource intensive. So, there were roles like VAs, SDRs, agencies when needed, etc. Right? And looking at what that looks like right now, right? So we can create content that is high converting instantly. We don't need A/B testing, right? The open rates are super high, 50% plus, which was previously unheard of, is now kind of like a standard for this AI products. Unsubscribes are almost zero because the content that is delivered is relevant, right? And it makes sense to the audience that you're targeting. Emails are personalized and relevant, as I said, and you never land in spam, right? So there's a regulation called CAN-SPAM, and what that means is that your email needs to avoid doing certain things. And if you don't know that and you're writing emails manually, they could end up in spam just because of how you structure the email and how you wrote it, right? So AI is able to avoid that, and it also works on autopilot. So
even if you're sending out emails one by one, personalized, there's a chance they can land in spam if you don't follow that CAN-SPAM compliancy.
Absolutely. There's really strong chance, and Google especially is really, really aggressive on spam with the Gmail. So it's really tricky and that's why roles like email marketing specialist existed, because you have to get a specialist to write an email that fits all the criteria, has the right context, doesn't use the wrong words, so it doesn't end up in spam. Interesting. So moving on to what is 10xBeast, right? And as I said, this is a platform that was built initially for myself, right?
Yeah,
so
I love the branding. So if you wouldn't mind, a lot of my audience is students of, not just the sales and the marketing side, but I actually do really love the brand. It stood out. I think that's part of the reason why I answered too, is because it didn't sound like something generic. And I was like, yeah, I want to 10x beast mode my sales. So tell me a little bit more about the brand and why'd you decide to pick the name?
Oh yeah. So, one of my first jobs was, in email marketing. And one of the emails that we would send, it had such a high conversion rate, was, if we could help you 10x your sales or whatever it was for that sales company, would you be interested? And it had such a high conversion rate, and it stuck in my mind. And 10x kind of became like my slogan. And so fast forward to last year, and I'm shopping for domains for my software startup, and I looked for 10x.com. It was like 10 grand, and I was like, hey, I'm not paying for that. Yeah. And this was the closest, and I was like, 10xBeast. I'm like, I love this. This is what I'm gonna base my branding. Yeah. It's actually, I like the fact that you mentioned that, because it's very risky to use a name like this, right? Because it stands out, right?
Sure.
And people are afraid of standing out.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think, so much of the AI tool world is just kind of, a little bit boring. And I don't know, at least from a salesperson perspective, I always want to be thinking about ways to level up, ways to get better. And I just feel like this inspires that kind of confidence in the brand. So yeah, reminds me a little bit of like, kind of Grant Cardone, 10X lifestyle type stuff. But, even if that has no association, it's like, okay, like who doesn't want to 10X their life,
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So 10X uses AI to essentially help you crush it, right? The entire goal or build of this platform is that it's meant to be fast. It's meant to help you scale your marketing super, super quickly and aggressively, right? So it's built for power users, people who are really trying to scale very, very aggressively and get conversions quickly, right? So one thing you realize about the software, and we'll get into the software in a bit, is that it's designed for the user to get onboarded in seconds, literally in seconds, right? So
Wow.
as a previous user of similar tools, I just realized that the onboarding process was too long, right? Way too long. I needed somebody to assist me. Sometimes it would take hours and, etc. And I was like, no, I don't want this. I want to be able to click 3-4 buttons and get set up, including set up with AI and ready to go. And I'll show you how it works. Okay, so who is this for, right? So the entire idea of the software is that you need almost zero knowledge of sales and marketing to use it effectively, right? And that's what AI offers us, right? So whether you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, business owner, solo marketer, marketing agency, or you're creative, whatever you do across any industry, it's going to work. So it's built to be very, very versatile and it has very many use cases. So it doesn't matter what your business in, it doesn't matter what segment you're in, as long as it's a business that you can define that this is what I do, that's all it needs, right?
Yep, that's great. And then what about for someone like me who works across multiple clients? So I currently run sales or sales segments for 3 different organizations, but then I also have another client where I'm the chief marketing officer. So I'm sending kind of different messaging from all 3 of those prospective clients. Could I run that all through 10x, or would I need a separate account for each client? And then there's also the outreach and the marketing that I want to do for my personal brand and the podcast to attract net clients and to build the business. So just curious on your take from like that agency, marketing agencies are probably going to have the same problem. Maybe the other 3 segments are going to be very focused, but would just be curious on your feedback there.
Yeah, actually love that question. So how this software is built is that you can add as many businesses, as many products as you want to in one account. So you don't need to move out of your account. It's literally just a couple of clicks and you add all your businesses and all your products there. And on top of that, you can also invite other users into your account. So in case you want someone else to manage stuff for you, or you don't care, you don't want to see it, you want someone else to run it, you can just invite them and they can get in there and set up all your accounts and your campaigns will start running. So you can set up multiple businesses, multiple users. It's designed to be very, very versatile, as I mentioned.
Very cool.
Okay, so as I said, getting started is very, very easy. It typically takes, I have like a maximum amount of time that it should take you is 1 minute. So that's one of our internal KPIs. We measure how quickly a user gets set up. And if it's more than 1 minute, it's a problem. Like I'm now asking questions to my dev team, why is it taking so long for someone to get set up? It needs to be 1 minute, and actually I want to take it down to even 30 seconds if possible, right? Because it should be very, very easy to get started. And by get set up, I mean that your business details are in the system and that you can start sending campaigns, right?
Crazy.
So yeah, it's really easy. Yeah, all you have to do is add your business details. If you have a website, that will work. If you don't, you can upload a PDF with information about the business. If you don't have that, it's still okay. You can just type in or paste in any information about your business. The AI will use that and organize that and create all your email marketing campaigns super fast. So one thing that I wanted to touch on, I know we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, is the roadmap, right? So obviously we've built a lot and we've built a really, really powerful software, but there's a lot that's coming, right? And one of the things that I wanted to touch on was in lead gen, right? So in a week, we will have an implementation of a lead gen software that inside the app, and this comes for all users, that will go and find specific leads that fit for your business and start messaging them automatically, right? So what that means is that you wouldn't have to upload your leads. And on top of that, the way we've done it, and we could have done it the easy way. We could have gotten like an API with Apollo or one of these other databases that everyone else is using, and then you would be sending email campaigns to leads that are getting too many email campaigns from different products anyway. We didn't want to build it out. We wanted to build it organically in a way that makes sense, right? So once you push your business, it will go and find leads that are in your particular that would fit your ICPs, right? So that's your ideal customer profile, right? And you can start sending campaigns to those leads. On top of that, so that would actually make the marketing hands-free, right? That means all you have to do is just pay for the software, get set up in 1 minute, and that's it. That's where your interaction with the software ends. All you have to do is monitor results after that.
Wow.
Next, we have the SMS campaigns. SMS is something that's really close to me, and I think it's not done enough, and I think it's a really cool way to grow your business. Like, people are more likely to read text than email, so I think.
I mean, my kind of workflow is I do not. I've got multiple email accounts, so maybe I'll see an email within 24 hours. And if it's from a source that I don't know, I'll generally delete it. Slack, I think, is something that I pay a fair amount of attention to, probably check it twice a day. But if I get a text, I look at it immediately. And I get a lot of spam texts, not from, anything that's relevant to my industry. It's generally political campaigns or scammers or, maybe lists that I signed up in the past, but very, very rarely do I get a text from anybody, from like a sales or a biz dev perspective. If I get an inbound call from a company I don't know, I generally don't pick it up. But I will listen to voicemails, and if the voicemails are compelling, I'll call back. And then I do return calls. And if I find out that, basically just to get off lists, but, I called a company back the other day, their SDR picked up. He was intelligent. He was not pushy. He, walked me through their offering, and I booked a meeting. So, I agree with you. I think the phone and probably text more than even phone calls are probably under leveraged.
100% agree. Yeah. I think SMS is just a very unique area that's not really been targeted by people in sales. And it's great because people are always on their phone, right? They're always on their phone. And if you send out a text, the chances of it being read is like 90% or something like that, right? And we can also tie that with voice. I like the fact that you mentioned voicemail. So voicemail is also another opportunity to use really, really good AI. So where AI is at, it's not at the point where you can have a phone call that sounds human, right? But it can leave a voicemail that sounds very, very close to human, right? So that would be something cool that, we're going to try experiment with it and see where that takes us. So I don't know whether there's anything you wanted me to touch on before I get into the offer. I had put together a special offer for your listeners.
Yeah, 100%. I would encourage anybody who's following along who is a sales leader. Don't let me be the only guinea pig. If you want to wait and see the results before you sign up, 100% understand. But, if you want to follow along and test with me, definitely do that and participate in the comments and, let us know, give us your feedback as we roll out these episodes. So yeah, go ahead and plug it.
Yeah, most definitely. So we have it on 10xbeast.com/unlimited. And what this is an offer you'll never find any other email marketing company. It's almost nuts. What it is that it's a plan where you can send unlimited emails. So you have unlimited emails and upload and send unlimited campaigns, right?
Yeah.
And that's something no other software is offering. And we're not offering it to everyone. It's not available on our website. You have to go to this link. And it's only for, the listeners of this amazing podcast who can go into it's $4.99 a month, $3.75 per month if you go annual. Go ahead, try it out. It's amazing.
That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you delivering that value to the listeners.
Yeah, so I guess we can hop into an AMA, and I'll take any questions you have.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm excited about everything you've walked me through so far. As always, the proof is in the pudding. So my question would be for this session, do we want to go ahead and do like a live campaign setup? Like, do we want to do we want to actually register me for the service and do any of the initial setup or do a walkthrough, or do you want to save that for a future episode? Are you prepared for that today?
Yes. So what we could do, can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So actually what I had done in advance is I had set up I'd set up your business, right? So,
Yep.
and how I did that was really simple. I just went to Spotify and I copied the description for your podcast.
So good.
And I pasted it, and this is what the AI came up with. So you can see your product description, your unique selling point, your tone, your target customer, and it went ahead and generated. All this is AI. I didn't do any of this, so it went ahead and generated like unique campaigns that you could send out. So in case you wanted to book meetings, reach out to potential future guests, etc. And it's really just as simple as that. All I had to do was just paste that small description you have in your Spotify, and you can push that to a campaign, right? So this is what a campaign looks like, and I just go and select a goal. I can add as many campaign goals as I have, depending on what I want to do, and then I just either upload my contacts when I select them. So I can select a contact group, and then I can send myself a test email and create a campaign, and that's all. It's super cool.
Awesome. So, what would be your ideal suggestion on how many contacts should I upload to start? Like, is there an optimal amount as far as how many I kind of give the tool to start out a campaign?
Yeah, good question. So depending on how warm your mailbox is, typically you want to do, it's usually per mailbox, you want to do 20 to 200. By the way, we run on Gmail, so we have an API with Gmail. So if you have a Gmail inbox, that works perfectly. So anything from 20 to 200 is the limit currently by Gmail. You don't want to be sending anything more than 200 a day. If it's a new mailbox, you don't want to be sending anything more than 20. If it's a mailbox that you've used for a while, then you can go all the way to 100 and then 150 and then 200 per day.
Okay, so maybe start out at 100 a day for seasoned email inboxes.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then my other question was going to be, how long would we want to run a test until we would be able to go in and like check results on some of the things that we talked about, look at statistics and maybe, touch base with the listeners and show them the results? What would be a good time frame to revisit, would you say?
I think 2 weeks should be enough, right?
2 weeks.
So 2 weeks, if you're doing 100 a day, that's 500 per week. It's 1,000 in 2 weeks. That's good enough for us to get data.
Cool.
Yeah.
Also, do I need to verify the emails, or does your platform verify?
Verify the emails. That means to approve the emails before they go out?
No. So like, so some of the platforms have these secondary, tools that basically will grab like a list from like their data, whatever their data source is. You pull in the data, and then it runs it through a verification and a delivery optimization process. I don't know how it works, but basically, say I download 100 contacts, it'll then tell me, hey, 13 of these were non-deliverable, and then 14 of them seem risky, but these 60 all seem good. That I noticed has, increased delivery and made that, that kind of process a little bit better. And, whenever you're dealing with big databases, especially if you're like my process generally for my CRM, if I'm going to pull data from my CRM, usually I'm emailing people I haven't talked to since 2022 because I've got 150,000 people, but I'm only current with I've only talked to maybe 50,000 of those in the last 6 months. So I'm always working through these old databases, and inevitably I get bounces because they're old. So a little bit of a long-winded answer to your question, but the main thing is I want to do everything I can to make sure that delivery is optimal. So if I have access to third-party verification software, should I run it through that before I upload it to the platform?
Yes, we haven't built the verification yet, but as you mentioned, that's a very, very crucial part of email marketing, and
Got it.
that's something you're going to see from us coming soon. But we don't have it inbuilt yet, so run it through a third party for now.
Cool. Okay, I've got it. So, and then, so we talked about, how many per day, which is 100. We're going to do 2 weeks. Would you recommend only sending on business days? So should I essentially feed the platform 1,000 leads to start to get the data for those two? Is it just business days? I send stuff out on the weekends as an individual, but none of my tools for automation run on the weekends. But would you suggest just business days?
I think I would say it's a mix, right? So depending on who your audience is, 90% of audience will be like business days. That's when they're really checking their email. But if you have something that's B2C, then you could get away with sending them messaging on weekends as well.
Okay. Yeah. Most of my stuff is B2B, except for my wine client. And then I think I'm probably going to start this with testing on the B2B side. So, okay, cool. So I think what I'll do is I'll load in 1,000 verified emails to start. We will test that against 100 per day. And then it looks like you've done a lot of the campaign setup components for me with the messaging piece. I may go in there and add some additional clients of mine to, maybe I'll run 1,000 across all my different business lines, one for the podcast, one for Lucy Hub, one for Creators Buddy, one for Squad. So I might test like 4,000 total emails against 4 different inboxes. And then you've done some setup for me, but how do I get access to what you've already set up? Are you going to send me something where I can kind of take control? Are you going to send me the login credentials, or how do we do that part?
I think I could set it up in your own email account so that you have full access to it. Yeah, that should be easy to set up. Okay,
well, let's connect offline on that. So awesome, man. Well, look, I think this was a good initial exposure of your tool to the audience. I'm really excited to try it. I'm really excited to see the results. I think you've got a great background. And, most importantly, for all you sales leaders out there, think about how many emails you get every single day of people claiming that they can do what Kevin says that he can do. And how many of them would actually be willing to put their reputation and their product on the line, where they're willing to do that in a public setting for the entire internet to see? They believe in their solution enough to go ahead and put it out there. But more importantly, they're willing to do it for free. Not that he's going to do it for free for all of you, but he's doing it as a trade for me, because he believes enough in his product that he's willing to put a little bit of skin in the game. So like I mentioned to you, many, many emails. I've been sending this offer to review tools to everybody that's reached out to me for a very long time. And Kevin is the first one who's accepted the challenge. So Kevin, I commend you on you being to believe in your product enough to go through this process with me. And I thank you for your time. And I'm pumped to see what the results look like.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it too.
All right. So we'll connect offline on getting the campaign set up. Those of you that are following along at home, we will go ahead and check in with you and give you the results in a couple of weeks. If you're following along on either LinkedIn or YouTube and you've enjoyed this segment, don't forget to subscribe or follow, because we will be doing more episodes with Kevin to show you the results, but we will be reviewing more tools in the future. If you have a tool that you want me to check out, feel free to slide into the DMs. And then most importantly, if you know a sales leader out there who is looking for technology, who wants to follow along in this experiment with us in real time, go ahead and send them this episode so they can get onboarded with Kevin as well. So with that being said, Kevin, thanks again for coming along with this process, and we'll check back with the audience in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dylan.